Welcome to Titans of Terror, where we look at the men and women who have shaped the horror landscape. Today's subject,
Actor Tony Todd. Anthony Tyron Todd was born on December 4th, 1954, in Washington, D.C. Tony grew up in Hartford, Connecticut, where he attended the local high school and the Artist Collective, Inc. He went on to study theater at the Eugene O'Neill National Actors Theater Institute in Connecticut and the Trinity Repertoire Company in Providence, Rhode Island, where he honed his skills and developed his commanding style. Being 6'5" probably didn't hurt either. I will not be covering Tony's entire acting catalog here, as it is quite massive, but I will hit as many highlights as I can. Tony made his big screen debut in 1986 with a supporting role in the art house fantasy drama Sleepwalk, in which he plays a man after an ancient Chinese manuscript. The film is also notable for being an early role for actor Steve Buscemi. Tony got his first big break when writer-director Oliver Stone saw his performance in Johnny Got His Gun at New York's West Bank Theater and cast him as Sergeant Warren in his 1986 breakthrough film Platoon. The film, based on Stone's experience as a U.S. infantryman in Vietnam, follows a new U.S. Army volunteer serving in Vietnam while his platoon sergeant and his squad leader argue over the morality in the platoon and of the war itself. In 1987, Tony appeared in Enemy Territory, about an insurance salesman who inadvertently gets trapped in a New York City public housing apartment building that is controlled and terrorized by a local street gang. Tony plays the charismatic cult-like leader of the gang, known as the Count. A few more major Hollywood films came calling for Tony, including the action crime film Colors, Clint Eastwood's biopic of jazz saxophonist Charlie Parker called Bird, and the inner city biographical drama Lean on Me. Tony made his horror debut in 1990 when he starred in Tom Savini's official remake of the seminal Night of the Living Dead. The film follows seven strangers as they meet and survive in a rural farmhouse following a zombie outbreak. Since the original film was so beloved, there was much resistance to this remake, and it was generally disliked. Retrospective reviews, however, note how great of a film it really is. The next year, Tony starred in another zombie film from many of the same collaborators of Night of the Living Dead, called Voodoo Dawn. This time, Tony plays a diabolical machete-wielding voodoo priest taking on college students trying to ruin his setup. In 1992, Tony portrayed the character he is probably most well known for, the Candyman. Based on Clive Barker's short story, The Forbidden, Candyman follows a Chicago semiotics grad student completing a thesis on urban legends and folklore, which leads her to the legend of the Candyman, the ghost of an African American artist and son of a slave who was murdered in the late 19th century for his relationship with the daughter of a wealthy white man. He is summoned by anyone that speaks his name 5 times before a mirror, and he proceeds to murder them. The movie was a smash hit that eventually produced 3 sequels as of this recording. The film also routinely appears on Scariest Movie List and Best Slasher List. Next up for Tony was the 1993 action flick Excessive Force, starring Thomas Ian Griffith, Lance Henriksen, and James Earl Jones. The film is about a vigilante Chicago cop going after the local mob after $3 million disappear. Tony plays a detective in the film. Tony then appeared in a supporting role in the 1994 gothic superhero film The Crow, in which he plays an abductor named Grange. The cult film is known for the breakthrough performance of star Brandon Lee, whose life was tragically cut short while filming the movie. The film spawned 3 sequels, a television series, and a reboot. In 1995, Tony returned for the sequel, Candyman: Farewell to the Flesh, about a New Orleans schoolteacher whose family was ruined by the immortal killer years before, being targeted by the Candyman. Critics seem to be split on the film, however, most praised Tony's performance. 1996 was a big year for Tony as he appeared in 5 films, including Beastmaster 3: The Eye of Braxis, reprising John Amos's role from the original film. Here he helps the Beastmaster rescue his brother from an evil lord seeking to gain immortality. The other film from 1996 I'd like to mention here is The Rock, starring Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery. The film tells the story of a retired SAS captain and an FBI chemist who must rescue hostages from a rogue group of Force Recon Marines on Alcatraz Island. Tony plays one of the rogue Marines. Tony then returned to horror in 1997 when he appeared alongside an all-star cast in Wishmaster, about a djinn, a wish-granting evil genie who is released from a jewel and seeks to capture the soul of a woman who discovered him. This too became a horror film franchise, with 3 sequels. Tony's next horror film would be the direct-to-video film Bram Stoker's Shadow Builder, about a demon being summoned to take the soul of a young boy, who has the potential to become a saint. If the demon is successful, a doorway to hell will open and destroy the world. Tony plays the local loon. Tony then went on to make a few action crime films, such as Caught Up and Butter. He would return to horror in 1999 with the direct-to-video sequel Candyman 3, Day of the Dead, co-starring playmate Donna D'Errico as the daughter of the New Orleans schoolteacher from Farewell to the Flesh. The film was universally panned, even by Tony himself. The next year, Tony would appear in perhaps his second most well-known role in Final Destination, a film about a high school student receiving a deadly premonition and avoiding a fatal fate. Tony plays William Bloodworth, a mortician with an intricate knowledge of death's plans. He would appear in all but one installment of the franchise. In 2003, Tony played a supporting role in the Sci-Fi Channel movie Control Factor, about a government mind control project gone wrong. The movie stars Adam Baldwin and Saved by the Bell alum Elizabeth Berkley. That same year, Tony returned for Final Destination 2, reprising his role as the creepy mortician. Tony also took the lead role in 2003's Scarecrow Slayer, in which he portrays a farmer who has been obsessed with a scarecrow that killed his father years ago. In 2004, Tony made a cameo appearance in the controversial film Murder Set Pieces, about a German photographer that assaults and mutilates prostitutes. The next year, Tony joined another film franchise when he appeared in The Prophecy Forsaken, the 5th and final tale of the Prophecy saga. Here, Tony plays the sinister leader of a group of renegade angels. 2006 was a big year for Tony as he appeared in 7 films. He returned in Final Destination 3 in a voice role of the devil. He also played a king in Minotaur, a loose retelling of the Greek myth of Theseus and the Minotaur. Next up, Tony played a supernatural satanic serial killer in the prison horror Shadow, Dead Riot. Tony also added another horror franchise to his repertoire that year when he acted in Hatchet, the first film in the series. Tony plays Reverend Zombie, a failed swamp tour guide. Tony then appeared in the Masters of Horror episode Valerie on the Stairs, directed by Mick Garris. Tony played the Beast, the episode's lead antagonist. And the last film I'd like to highlight from 2006 is The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, in which Tony plays the titular dual roles. By now, Tony has developed into quite the horror icon. He continued to appear in various horror films up until his death in 2024. He is also known for voicing the Fallen in 2009's Transformers Revenge of the Fallen and returning to voice Ben in Night of the Living Dead Darkest Dawn. Some more highlights include Chicago Massacre Richard Speck, Dark Real, Night Tales the Movie, The Graves, Hatchet 2, Final Destination 5, Sushi Girl, Zombies Outlive the Dead, Victor Crowley, Death House, Hellfest, The Final Wish, Candy Corn, Sky Sharks, Tales from the Hood 3, Candyman from 2021, Horror Noir, Hellblazers, Devil Row, Stream, and the upcoming Final Destination Bloodlines. Tony Todd passed away at his home in Marina del Rey, California from stomach cancer on November 6, 2024, just 4 weeks before his 70th birthday. Possessing a warm laugh, a baritone voice, and a generous spirit, Tony Todd was a much beloved icon and a true titan of terror.